Boom, baby, we're live. Welcome to Tokyo Crypto Show, Season 2, Episode 139. We're going to talk about the Ethereum ETF and price predictions with my panel of geniuses here. I'm joined by TradFi expert, 20 years in the game, James B. We're here with Elias, mining crypto on the ground in an undisclosed location. We got our chart expert here, Alex, the chart guy. And we also have Adam, the deep crypto expert, as well as Stock Market Steve. Guys, how's it going? Welcome aboard. Thank you for being here.
Hello.
Good. So here we go again. The Ethereum ETF. I think the first person I want to take charge on this is the one with the most authority on the subject, which is James. So we got right now an Ethereum ETF. So what that means is, James, I'd just like you to give a clear, concise explanation as to what the ETF is and how it can make people money at home, if you don't mind.
Okay. ETF is a kind of cross between a stock, buying an individual stock, and mutual fund, right?
James, you're coming in a little bit low. If you can either move the mic cord or turn it up more.
Is it better?
Turn it up more if you can.
Okay.
The gain, it says gain on it.
Better?
Yeah, just max it out.
Okay. So it's a cross between stock and a mutual fund. So what you're doing is you're buying into a fund that owns a underlying asset. So in this case would be Ethereum, right? So you're not buying a full Ethereum, you're buying a full share of a fund that owns a Ethereum holding. So instead of you going to either Coinbase or Kraken or Binance and buying a fraction of Ethereum, you're buying into either BlackRock or Fidelity, which owns a fund that has Ethereum as underlying asset. One of the big advantage of this is that instead of you doing your own custody into either hardware wallet or cold storage, that they take care of all the storage and the liability and all the work that goes with it. So you only have to just own their ETF shares in your brokerage account.
Okay. So how is this going to make people money?
So one of the big thing is that Ethereum is the second biggest crypto currently as a market cap, and it has been one of the biggest underlying smart contract for crypto space, especially for the real world asset and decentralized finance. So one of the things is that a lot of people do not want to own the crypto, especially the institutional investors and a lot of the funds, large investment funds, such as the pension funds and retirement funds and endowment funds. They do not want to own the crypto itself, but they are very comfortable owning the ETF, crypto ETF, because they're shifting the liability from owning the crypto itself to the whoever is managing the fund, such as BlackRock or Fidelity. So when the institutional money and the individual investors that are more comfortable owning the ETF comes into the market, that would increase the market cap of Ethereum, thereby driving either both Ethereum price and the Ethereum ETF share price.
Got it. So why that's important, let me show you guys real quick here. So if you take a look at the screen, I'm going to show you a chart. Okay, so this is the Bitcoin price chart here. Okay, we're going to get off the screen so you guys can see clearly. Okay, so news of the Ethereum, or excuse me, of the approval of the Bitcoin ETF was accidentally leaked by the Cointelegraph intern on October 15th, and it was quickly deleted, right? But as you can see here, once the news was set, Bitcoin went from $27,463 to the day before trading, which was about the 9th, right here, went up to 47,000. So you made a quick almost 2x right there. And then when the Ethereum launched, the thing is, this is also an opportunity for people to sell their Ethereum if they don't want it. So Bitcoin, once the ETF launched, a lot of people were laughing, like, oh, ha, 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 look at this. And a company named Grayscale had a bunch of Bitcoin in their reserves, and they were dumping it off because the company's kind of in some financial trouble. So Bitcoin took a dive from 47,000 down to 39, and that was on January 22nd. But then from there, Bitcoin went from January 22nd all the way to March 14th. I remember that day, up to $72,000. So you went basically almost another 2x there. So if you're paying attention and you had your ears to the ground, you could have made a serious 3x in a very short amount of time, which is not bad. So Ethereum right now, if you take a look at what's going on with it, a lot of people are talking crap. A lot of the Solana maxis are saying, ha, 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 look at the Ethereum price here. But if you take a look, I'll show you right now. So when the news of the Ethereum ETF came out, it was like right around here, around July 5th-ish. And then it went back up. It regained credit. It went all the way down to like 2,800, and then it recovered to about 3,500-ish here. And then it's been chopping sideways. And then the Ethereum ETF actually launched yesterday, and you can see the price is crashing. A person who is not really dialed into the math and understanding the clarity of the impact with the ETF probably thinks this is a bust investment. However, all my big money friends that should have been hitting me up, and the smartest money and the easiest money right now is getting into Ethereum, because the companies that are involved in this are not companies that, are just, hanging out by the water cooler or trying to make $10. These are huge companies. And this is a list of all the companies. There are 8 ETFs. Okay. This number 1 is BlackRock iShares Ethereum Trust ETF. Then we have Invesco Galaxy Ethereum ETF. And then we have 21 Shares Core Ethereum ETF. Fidelity has theirs. Franklin has theirs. Van Eck has theirs. Bitwise and Grayscale is back for some more, as well as their Grayscale Ethereum Mini Trust. So we have 8 companies now that are onboarding money into these ETFs, and they did $1 billion in the first day. So it was 25%, because I'm pretty sure Bitcoin did $4 billion on its first day. And so I personally believe that this is very bullish, because it is adding legitimacy to the Ethereum ETF. Adding legitimacy to Ethereum, because it's having a lot of trouble behind the scenes. But now moving forward, this has opened the gate for people to think, well, if Ethereum is approved, then a Solana ETF is relatively inevitable. So there is a chance to make some serious life-changing money here if you play.
Companies like BlackRock or Fidelity do not jump into the game unless there's serious money to be made, right? So it's a good sign that these guys are putting their weight by and the name behind Ethereum, saying that, hey, this is a serious asset class, and they're kind of pushing it. And that means that, sooner or later, the price is going to go up. It's just that, just like with the Bitcoin, we saw the initial run up leading to the launch of ETF. Then, especially with the, companies like Grayscale, they're going to dump some of it, and there'll be some changing of hands, and gets flushed out. All the change of money gets flushed out before it takes off into a higher price.
James is a traditional finance guy who's been involved in 2 decades of experience. What do you really think? Is this? Some people are saying this is not big news. This is nothing. This is a big old nothing burger. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's kind of going back to what you said. It gives the legitimacy to the crypto space, right? Everybody knew about the Bitcoin ETF coming because of the leak that happened a while back. And Bitcoin is such a different animal than rest of the crypto. I think it's just that. So now having Ethereum ETF gives more legitimacy to the rest of the crypto market, not just the Bitcoin. Because when you're looking at a crypto market, just even market cap, BTC is pretty much a 50% plus or minus of the market cap. So when something like Ethereum gets approved, ETF gets approved, it gives a legitimacy to the rest of the market, saying that, hey, just the rest of the crypto, other than the Bitcoin, is not a scam. There are a lot of scams there, right? But some of the blue chips, it gives legitimacy to the blue chips, such as Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, BNB, coins like that.
Yeah, and regarding to what James said, this is how the great thing about these ETFs is you can clearly see every day, because it's against the law for them to hide data, how much money has came in. So the red is indicating selling, right? So, and then this color coordinated legend on the right hand side, GBTC, this is grayscale. Okay, so when grayscale first came out, day one, they dumped a little to test the waters, and they realized like, oh crap, like we can make some serious money. And then IBIT is the one you want to be paying attention to. IBIT is BlackRock, and then FBTC is Fidelity. Those are the top two acquisition companies making the most acquisitions. And we think behind the scenes they're working together, because you could see on the days that actually, let me make this big. On the days that Bitcoin was dumped off hard, it was also acquired hard. You know, so like what James was saying, this is just the changing of hands. And this is why Bitcoin initially took a price dip, because a lot of sell action was happening from grayscale. And this is only showing you from January 11th to February 26th. I mean, this chart continues onwards. But the thing is, you want the market cap to go up, because when the market cap goes up, the price goes up in general. I'm going to open the panel to everybody, guys. Just freely speak your thoughts on what do you think in regards to this. Adam, actually, I want to go to you first, because you're the deep crypto guy. I remember, because you're down in Panama, these Ethereum fees were killing you, and you're just like, man,
yeah,
fuck Ethereum. This shit is bullshit. You want to explain that to the guys at home?
Sure. Last cycle and even this one, Ethereum, whenever it gets congested, the fees they get really high, and for someone who trades a small bag, it's just not worth it. It becomes like a whale's playground. So that in is one of the main reasons why stuff like Solana and Polkadot came out, because they took advantage of that need in the market. But overall, I consider the entire ETF news bullish, even if it doesn't look like it immediately. People who are patient and who look at the past will know that this is going well. And I don't know if you want me to show the charts immediately, but
Yeah, go ahead. Jump right into it.
sure. One sec. Okay, can you see?
Yep, there you go. Go ahead.
Okay, so this is the Bitcoin chart, right? Here right now, January 10th is when the Bitcoin ETF was approved. Over the next 13 days, the price of Bitcoin fell around 20%. And that's when the news started calling out like, oh, the ETF is bullshit and it was a sell the news event or whatever. But after those 30 days, which coincided with a Bitcoin cycle bottom, which we should touch on a later stream.
Yeah, Alex will touch on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So during the next 50 days after that, Bitcoin saw a 90% gain until the top around March 13th, where we reached like $74,000.
Mm-hmm.
So let's look at Ethereum now. Over here around June 20th was when the first rumors of confirmation that the Ethereum ETF was going to be approved, right? And the price was around 3,500. Over the next 15 days after that, the price of Ethereum fell around 20%. And if we continue the pattern, then following 50 days after that, a 90% rise would put Ethereum at around $5,300. However, I wouldn't take that immediately. Of course, we first have to get above the previous top in this year, which was 42,000, give or take, 4,200. And then the previous all-time high of around 4,800 before we considered breaching 5,000. But here's the interesting part. You can see this line I left here. If you make a Fibonacci retracement, which I know some people don't like, but it's just another tool, the 1.6 level, which is considered the golden ratio, falls just in between the 5,500 like the full 90% target and the previous all-time high. So it can be considered a potential confirmation that this target is within a reach. This might be the range that we're aiming for during the next 50 days. And even more so, the day 50, if it follows the exact timeline as Bitcoin, would fall around August 25th, give or take. If we go back to Bitcoin, we're currently on our 60-day cycle. We are on around day like 20, and the cycle seems to be going towards a right translated cycle, which would put the top at around day 45. That would be around August 20th. What's the thing with this? Ethereum has historically followed Bitcoin with a bit of a lag. So Bitcoin pumps and then Ethereum pumps like 1 or 2 days after. So if Bitcoin pumps up until the 20th of August, then it wouldn't be out of reason to consider that Ethereum could pump and peak at around August 25th, potentially reaching the 90% target or maybe a bit less, but that's the idea. And then the Bitcoin cycle would end around September 5th with a new bottom. And historically, September has always been a red month for Bitcoin. So it would all line up pretty nicely and then leave a consolidation cycle that would end around the election time, which if Trump wins, which if you ask me, it's almost a guarantee by now, then it would start like full on mania leading to next year. What's even funnier, if I just did a quick search, and already like 2 hours ago, I don't know if you can see it. If can you see what I'm looking at now?
No, you gotta reshare. Wait, hold on. Just reshare the entire screen. Click present and then hit entire screen.
Give me that infinity mirror.
Yeah.
I love it.
Sure. Entire screen. Okay. Okay.
There we go.
So yeah, so like 2 hours ago, Forbes already published an article saying that the market hasn't been kind to the Ethereum ETF, even though the volume topped at 1 billion.
Idiots.
And they just like go on about it, saying that the price of the token has fallen since the ETF started. But this is the exact same type of article that released when Bitcoin ETF started, and we all know how it went from there. So yeah, don't fall for the bait. This is to get dumb people out and let them accumulate more at lower prices.
Yeah, one of the things when you read any of these financial articles or any of you hear this, sell the news event, whatever, always kind of ask yourself for what holding time frame, right? Because for Bitcoin, buy the dip, sell the news would have worked for you if you bought it at the bottom and sold when ETF got approved or ETF came online, right? But if we zoom out and see, maybe would that have worked for you if your holding period was over 2 years, and say you're holding until possible peak that's coming in 2025? No, you would have lost the money. You would have left the money on the table, because you would have made money because you bought it the dip and sold it at the top of the news of the launching of a Bitcoin ETF. And sure, it took a dip a little bit, right? But it's going to go back up. So you got to always ask yourself, for what holding period are they talking about, right? That's one of the keys that people always miss out when they hear, hey, did you make the money in the trade? Did you lose money in the trade? Okay, what was your target holding period? And did it match?
Yeah, I'd also hit on this basically because as far as my opinion on Ethereum goes, I think it has a few ongoing problems. And since the top in 2021, it was outperformed by Bitcoin, actually, even though Bitcoin has much larger market cap. So in my opinion, this is maybe a short-term play, but I wouldn't hold on to it long-term.
Interesting. I'm going to go full conspiracy theory. Okay. Just so you guys know, here's why I'm this is my personal theory, obviously not financial advice, don't sue us. But BlackRock runs the world. Okay. And BlackRock is making investments in Ethereum because if you have heard through the news that Larry Fink and BlackRock, they are actually going to start a new real world asset tokenization fund, and they're building it exclusively on Ethereum. And this is part of the new stock exchange that they are trying to build in Austin, Texas. They're going to build a second stock exchange for the first time in the history of America's financial race here. And they do not do these things just for fun. They don't just do this because they have this is a hobby of theirs. They're in this to make money. And this is from coindesk.com. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys. But it says BlackRock enters asset tokenization race with new fund on the Ethereum network. This was in March 21st. So we kind of been watching this behind the scenes. And you could see that they're going to be building it on the Ethereum network. Now, is Ethereum outdated crap tech? I think so. But I think what they're trying to do now is they're just trying to get like that asset status. So then you really don't have to worry about it. It's just like, it's like buying silver. Like, it's an asset. So this is another great thing here. And if you just look at the data that I have here, because again, we're just extremely math and data based here. So these are Ethereum day one performance, $100 million in inflows, and then 1 billion in trading volume. In comparison to the Bitcoin ETFs, Bitcoin had $600 million in inflows and 4.5 billion in trading volume. So as it is what it is. Ethereum always follows in Bitcoin's path to a lesser degree. I think Ethereum was altcoin of the year in the last bull run because you had the NFT mania, you had the DeFi mania, you had all these things going on that were really pushing the narrative. But now Solana, in my opinion, and we're going to do a full episode of Solana next week, most likely. Solana is just crushing every blockchain in the world by a staggering margin. More transactions are done on the Solana blockchain than all other transactions in all cryptocurrencies combined around the world. And it's by a large margin. It's not like by 5% or 10%. It's like, I think like 70, 80%. So I'm, like I said, looking just at the pure math of it all. You can see the inflows here. That's Grayscale, BlackRock, Bitwise, Fidelity, VanEck, Franklin, 21 shares, and then Invesco. This is the data from every these. So that's the great thing about tracking these ETFs, because if you just look at the numbers and look at the inflows, like the average person doesn't look at this data, even though it's all publicly available. And you can absolutely make a killing on this. There's no doubt about that. Some of the guys have presented some stuff in general. I guess, Steve, you want to go first? We just do a quick health on the stock market and whatever you want to update for us here today.
Oh, sure. Not too much in the way of conditions have changed from last week. One main thing is that the price of oil has fallen very steadily as the prices that they can sell oil barrels for, particularly out of a port in South Korea, has fallen drastically for the prices that they're willing to accept. And this is sagged on the entirety of the oil market. So that's only added to deflationary pressure. In terms of interest rates and the like, the Canadian Central Bank today actually cut their interest rates. And the Bank of England is expected to do a rate cut in this upcoming August 1st decision. At least that is the consensus amongst 80% of economists. That would also make sense to me, although that the English economy is not my specialty. Please be aware that there is a large consensus that likely the Bank of England is going to cut the rates, which will also add to the financial looseness, which of course will then support crypto. Right now, a lot of the Feds, similarly to last week, are doing a complete difference from their former statements from before. They're now leaning very dovishly in their policy. And right now, once again, just as a reminder, futures markets are pricing in a 90% expectation of rate cuts in September. So, I mean, if the Fed chose not to cut rates in September, well, that might lead to some instability in September because if that's what futures markets are doing, that means that it's already being priced in. However, if the Fed's already leaning that dovish, please be aware that if it weren't to come in September, that means that it's coming immediately after. However, my own expectation is a rate cut decision this upcoming September. I lean with the market's forecast and the CME's forecast. I think the pain in the economy is beginning to build up. Inflation's beginning to cool. Jerome Powell's recent comments have been some of his most dovish yet. Furthermore, a former Fed chair recently came out, the former Fed chair for the New York branch of the Federal Reserve came out and actually proposed a July rate cut, though he's not a voting member nor any sitting member of any kind. For somebody that respected to be condoning a July rate cut can kind of show where the psychology of generally the central banks is currently leaning. That's really all I have for today in terms of the stock market. I do want to add one more point to what James B mentioned earlier. One thing about these ETFs is that the elderly and the much older people of this world generally tend to have a lot more in savings, and they tend to have a lot more ready for their retirements. I can tell you from those that I've heard around me that they are just as interested in investing in cryptocurrencies, but something like getting on a decentralized exchange or trying to get online and suddenly figure out how to build a private wallet is too complicated for them. Most of the
Cold
time,
storage.
they're kind of how to get cold storage.
Can't even use email.
Yeah, they don't know they don't really know how to do it. But what they do know how to do is calling up their brokerage and saying, "Hey, I want to buy into the Ethereum ETF because I heard that I can hold it in that can hold it in my place. Hey, I want to buy this Bitcoin ETF." And if people with this much in savings and this much retirement money are getting excited for these assets, to me, this is also a massively bullish sign. Just to add one more point to how ETFs can help.
Yeah,
the market.
my friend's mother, who's 75 and retired, and she is now getting into crypto, and she looked at signing up for a Coinbase account and all that, and she did sign up for it. Then she's like, well, what is this thing? I have to take the coins off the exchange and put it into cold storage. And she asked me some of the questions about it, and I said, listen, you really don't really take the coins off the storage for anything. The coins always remain on the chain, right? I mean, that's the whole thing with the crypto. It's just that you're kind of taking the key phrase, right? So you're just kind of changing the location of the coins on the chain. And it was just too much for her, the technology and the learning curve. And she's like, well, is there any other way I can, be part of the game? And I was like, do you have a Schwab account? And she's like, yeah, I sure do. Just buy you some IBIT, right? And she was very happy with it. And so she bought some IBIT for her portfolio. And the same thing with my older friends who are in a traditional finance, that they did not want to get into the whole crypto and the storage and opening up another account, but they all have a retirement IRA or Roth IRA accounts, and they're adding to their these retirement accounts just using IBIT and now probably the Ethereum ETF. So it's a good news. New money is coming in. The boomer money is coming in.
That's the money we want.
And Ethereum in particular is, I think it's way more bullish than some people might notice at the time. Because, Bitcoin was going to be the first one, obviously, but Ethereum is the one that is actually opening the floodgates. Because it is like the first, quote-unquote, degenerate coin, if you could call it that. Because now that Ethereum is game, now Solana becomes a real possibility. After Solana, something like, even those hot take, I think after Solana, Polkadot gets approved. I know it's a really bad choice for crypto people, but I know, Charlie Miguel.
I kind of see
they have played really well with regulators, so that's why I think they have a high chance on that side. I know people in crypto hate it. I got burnt with it, so I know, but I just think that it has a chance after Solana just for that. Because the other alternative is like XRP, and There's no way that could
XRP.
get an ETF.
XRP,
But
Jesus
a
Christ.
couple of thoughts I have on that is Bitcoin is such a different animal than rest of the crypto market, right? So Bitcoin ETF approval, yeah, it was good for the crypto as a whole, but I don't think it should really impact the rest of the crypto market. It's such a different animal, right? But Ethereum get a legitimacy to the rest of the smart contract and the crypto market. And just like Adam said, I think the Solana ETF might be next on the list here, because there's rumors going around that BlackRock and the VanEck are already preparing the paperwork for Solana ETF launch, possibly late this year or early next year, right? And my personal thought is that after Solana, I think we might get a composite ETF saying that, hey, we're going to have a ETF that holds, top 10 X Bitcoin, X stablecoin, right? So not just you're buying into one crypto asset, but you're buying into a basket of crypto assets.
Yeah, but do you think the price impact on Solana and other coins will be much different? Because for Ethereum, for Ethereum, I kind of expected that it would get an ETF someday. Even if the SEC always said no, it will never happen in the beginning. But for Solana, it just got me kind of unexpected, basically. So for Ethereum, I think it might be, but this is my personal opinion, but I think it might be priced in more since the beginning. And for Solana and everything else, it just caught people by surprise, in my opinion.
Yeah, after Ethereum or Bitcoin and Ethereum, with the Solana and down, the market cap of these coins are so much smaller compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So $1 coming into those coins would have much bigger impact than $1 coming into a Bitcoin or Ethereum. So it will drive the underlying asset price up much higher compared to what would have come into Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? $1 billion coming into Solana would have much bigger impact on Solana price, or Solana Ethereum $1 billion coming into Solana ETF would have much bigger impact on the Solana price than it would have for Bitcoin and Ethereum, because it's just sheer size of the market cap difference.
Yeah, that there is a stark comparison between the two. I mean, Ethereum, look, I know, like, as a deep crypto degen like Adam, myself, I truly hate Ethereum as a tech. It is a piece of shit. I fucking hate Vitalik. I've met him. He's a weirdo. But they have, look, Bitcoin is the new gold, and Ethereum is now officially the new silver, and there's just nothing you can do about it. And like I said, these companies, BlackRock, Fidelity, these aren't just a bunch of dickheads sitting around at the pool drinking Coronas like, oh, hey,
Shut up,
you want to
take my money.
You want to like buy some Ethereum, see what happens, bro? Like, no, it doesn't work like that. The price is absolutely going to go up. It is no doubt about that whatsoever.
Yeah, they're the smartest people in the world who work for BlackRock and Fidelity and VanEck and all these funds, right? So the whatever they're doing, there's a big reason and big money reason behind it.
Yeah. Did you see how Trump was floating Larry Fink to be the Department of Secretary, or the Department of Treasury head?
No way. Larry's not going to, Big Daddy Larry's not going to take it. I mean, he's going to have to take a huge pay cut to take that job.
Yeah. He floated him. He floated him and Jamie Dimon. So not bad thing. Yeah. We got a question here from divorce lawyer. He says, why is Solana showing different price behavior now? I think the person most qualified to do that is from the land down under. Alex, do you want to take a look at that and shoot your shot?
Yeah, I'll bring up the chart. By different price behavior, I'm not sure exactly what you mean by different. I mean, it's going up. Maybe that's what.
I think compared to rest of the market, like Bitcoin and Ethereum, because they're going kind of sideways and a little bit down.
Yeah. I think if you just take a look here on my screen,
they're sort of doing the same thing. I mean,
I think he's just talking about this here, like Bitcoin, Ethereum's kind of dumping off, and then Solana's kind of. I mean, dude, Solana, in my opinion, Solana is a big future component of cryptocurrency. Like, you cannot count Solana out whatsoever.
Well, we've got Ethereum, and we've got a nice double bottom on the weekly brewing. And then we've got Solana, and we've got a nice double bottom on the weekly brewing. Like, everything just is sort of doing what it should be doing, really. Solana's not doing particularly better than anyone else, but it's not doing any worse. It's sort of just doing what it should be doing, really.
Yeah, they're both doing sideways action, right?
Yeah, it's just going sideways.
yeah.
I want to wait for a weekly close above this high here. That would indicate that the double bottom's confirmed and that we want to go higher. But until then, sort of just sideways is fine. And until we breach sort of this low all the way back here, everything's fine and dandy.
He sends a follow-up here. He says, I mean, why is Solana not going down that much compared to the rest of the market?
Because it's being used.
Well, it is being used, but it did go down. Like, we did go all the way up from 200 down to 120. So we did get a nice drop on that. It's sort of just like, why isn't it like fallen off a cliff? Well, it's not like a degenerate shitcoin anymore. It's gotten to the size that drawdowns are not. You're not going to get 80% drawdowns, especially not in a bull market, for this going up. Probably last cycle, yeah, but it's a bit more of a mature asset now, a bit bigger. So, it'll just keep going up.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
I wouldn't say that, oh my God, like, what's up with Solana? It's so much better than everything else. No, it's better than Ethereum, and it's holding up well. It's outpacing Bitcoin really well. But it's not like it's going absolutely gangbusters ridiculous. It's just being very positive in a bull market. And so dips are for buying in a bull market, and just keep doing that and you'll be fine.
May I jump in?
Yeah, real quick. I want to, because the gentleman at home has sent us a lot of money, $4. That's big for me. I got no money over here. But if you take a look here, this is just an example of Solana's dominance. Okay, this is transactions per second. Okay, so Solana, the reason why it's going up in price is because it's the number one used. This is Solana. Is this Polygon here, Adam? Yeah, yep. Polygon. I don't know. This is Phantom. This is Avalanche. What is this? This is DAO. What is this?
It's Tron.
Tron, and then I don't. Oh, Cosmo. Oh, there's right at the bottom. I'm retarded. Fucking sorry, guys. I'm going by memory. Hey, that's how you know how smart I am. Algorand, and then Polkadot, then Cardano, then Bitcoin, or excuse me, Binance Cash, and then Ethereum at the very end. 15 transactions per.
He's trying his best.
Yeah, and Bitcoin's not even on here. Can't believe I didn't see the bottom. But yeah, that divorced lawyer brother, that is what's going on in regards to why Solana is going up. Solana is so easy to use. Okay, it is insultingly easy. Adam is actually an expert in Solana. Adam can make coins on the Solana chain, and it's really not too hard to do with a little bit of technical data that you need to apply.
You don't need to know much. They made it really easy, actually. Like anyone can just open a website and just with a wallet, they can create a coin. But the transaction, like congestion in Solana is real. Like nowadays, you have to like add like 5% of a Solana sometimes if you want to snipe coins, which is like around $10. But that is like a different level of degenerate, not for the average person. But yeah, Solana as an ecosystem has grown a lot. Like there's bots and snipers available for everyday users, something that Ethereum didn't see for a long time. Like those kind of tools were only available for like actual developers or whales.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Solana has seen a lot of growth because it allows like anyone to like play the game at a deeper level and not get scammed as easily.
Yeah, man. No, it's good. It's good. Like I said, it's overall it's looking very bullish in general. Like I don't see anything.
I think what we're kind of seeing is that the whole little bit more maturization of the crypto market, right? In the beginning, Bitcoin and Ethereum were like, oh, we're, blockchain for everything. Impossible. right? Because there's so many different uses. Now, after a few cycles, each of the blockchain is kind of saying, okay, we can't be everything for everybody. So what are we going to specialize in, right? Bitcoin kind of went to kind of almost like a storable value digital gold route. Ethereum almost went smart contract and more of an institutional use type of thing. And Solana, I think now is pivoting towards more of a consumer and retail chain, right? So we're seeing kind of being the crypto market and the technology getting a little bit more mature, I think, which is a good thing.
You can see it starting off with wallets. Like the main wallet for Solana, which is Phantom, is really user friendly. Like everything is really simple. It adds tokens automatically. It handles the gas fees. MetaMask, which is the main Ethereum wallet, is dog shit. Like
that word triggers me, bro. When I hear MetaMask, I just feel sick.
Honestly, anyone who is still in Ethereum, who is like worth reward, they are not using MetaMask. Everyone has switched to alternatives. Like the official wallet of Ethereum is probably one of the worst UX experience.
Last week I was talking to one of my buddy that's in the TradFi space, and kind of we were talking about different things going on in the industry, and I personally I'm a Solana maxi. I think just like MLD here that I think Ethereum is a old tech. I think there's a huge limitation on it, and the layer 2s are just the bandages on top of Ethereum. But I was talking to my buddy about it, and I told him so, and he said, "You know what, though? We use Ethereum on the back end at our, swap desk, right? Wow. Because Solana is there still saying that it's not 100% reliable because of the track record, right? Yeah. But Ethereum is proven to be a reliable tech. So even though it is an old tech, since it's reliable, they use it for their swap desk in the back end. Would they use for if they have a retail brokerage account? Obviously not, because they need the throughput or the speed, TPS, for the retail side. But on their back office, they said it's fast enough for them because they're not doing as many transactions per se with the retail side would.
Nick Vendramin has a question. You think it's smart to take a 10x leverage trade long on Ethereum right now? Where do you see the bottom in the short term? If I knew the bottom, I wouldn't be here, bro. I'd be on an island with James, and it'd be full of hookers. I'm just joking.
Just ditch leverage, for fuck's sake.
We are all hookers, MLD. We're all hookers, just different price.
But kind of quick on that point, if I can just quickly share the screen again.
Absolutely.
If you can see, well, here's Solana, but we can bring up Ethereum too. Once you have this sort of a close above here on the weekly and you've confirmed a double bottom, the price will generally want to go up. Now, it can go up, retest, and then go up, but in general, it's wanting to go up. So if you were looking for a place to buy, a break of that or a close above it is a good time. Same with Solana, a close above that. Now, I'm never going to suggest you take on leverage, but if you want the how can I know when it's reasonably going up, then that would be sort of your trigger there.
Yeah. I mean, when you're using leverage, it's super, 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 super risky. But I will say, like I said, Nick, I personally believe that, there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of lobbying and so much effort put into getting this Ethereum ETF approved. This was kind of a surprise approval for some people because Bitcoin got rejected 3 times in a row. And then on the 4th try, it finally got accepted. I think Ethereum got accepted on its first try. And I was talking, these guys are all part of the research team that we have behind the scenes. It's actually a 12-person research team. But we were talking about this since December. And we said, okay, well, BlackRock obviously runs the world. So they just got their ETF approved for Bitcoin. Now all the paperwork is streamlined. They know how to get an approval in, and I'm pretty sure that they're going to approve the Ethereum ETF. And the ETF was a surprise. A lot of people were just like, what the hell? It was a surprise for a lot of people, but it got approved. And I'm just telling you now, I am willing to go on record that Ethereum is going to break all-time highs due to this ETF being approved, because you need money. You need money to get this bad boy rolling. Elias, you had a slew of notes. So if you just want to go through that, or I don't know if you hit all your major points.
Yep, I can go through it real quick, because I think, like, from a personal or crypto perspective, or even a Bitcoin perspective, those are like more bad points for Ethereum. But from an ETF and institutional perspective, they might actually be really good. So I just shared my screen real quick.
Mm-hmm.
And take this one. So basically, the first thing is that I hope you can see this pretty good. The blue. This is this is from 2022. The problem still exists. I don't know how bad it is right now, but basically this is where the Ethereum nodes are hosted. So Ethereum is using proof of stake instead of mining, which means that they actually have nodes that sign the transactions and are responsible for the decentralization. And at least in 2022, and to a more or less the same degree right now, most of the nodes are on big hosting providers, mainly Amazon AWS, and Hetzner, which is a bigger European company. So they are pretty easy to control, because the government can just call one of the big hosting providers and tell them to shut it off or to censor it. And speaking of censoring, there's the Office of Foreign Asset Control in the US, and this is a chart of the Ethereum nodes that comply with the OFAC censoring, basically. So this is to make sure that there's no terror financing and stuff like this. But I think this is pretty much unique in crypto, that this high of a percentage of nodes, so right now it's a bit over 30%, are actually compliant with this. So for example, in Bitcoin, this would be really hard to get through, but from a regulatory perspective, this might be really good for banks and for the stock exchanges, because they can ramp this up, since most nodes are on the big hosting providers. And it's just easier from a legal perspective this way. And the next thing is just a small point. I don't think it's really that important. Basically, Ethereum, when they did the merge update when was it, 2022? Yeah, 2022, in September 2022. Basically, Ethereum got deflationary, and since they decreased the fees, it's inflationary again, not a lot, but just a little bit. This is just a bad point from a perspective of using it as a store of value, but of course the utility stays there. And that's basically it for the screen share. The other points I mentioned before is just Ethereum versus vs Bitcoin, with Bitcoin outperforming Ethereum since the last bull market top in 2021. And on CoinGecko, you can see it a bit better. This is where the top was, and since then, this is the orange line is the price of Ethereum calculated in Bitcoin, so it's going down since then. But maybe the ETF and the institutional adoption will change this in the long run. So,
yeah.
But one last point I wanted to mention is that, talking of MetaMask, behind MetaMask is the company Consensus, which is more or less run or partly run by JP Morgan Chase. So there's also a lot of big buyers that are profiting off or running the infrastructure which Ethereum is running on.
Interesting. Alex, go ahead, buddy.
Well, I'd just like to sort of do a little bit of a quick presentation for about 10 minutes
Take your time.
on cycles, and go into my thought process about how it all works and how I'm playing the market. I think it differs quite substantially from how others on the panel think about the market. I think the ETFs, they're great, but at the same time, they're almost not important because we were in a bull market cycle, which means that something was going to come along, which was going to allow the bull market to continue. In this case, it just happens to have been the ETFs. But if they didn't exist, something else would have, because the cycles are cycles and they repeat. And so it was sort of always going to happen this way regardless. So I'm not too concerned about all of the little itty bitty, what's happening on a day-to-day basis. It's more just like, is there something that can fulfill the criteria required to cause the bull market to go? Yes, cool. I don't have to sit there and stress my mind about it. Everything's fine. And then as soon as the cycle doesn't happen as it should, that's when I go, okay, shit, we gotta sit here and figure out what's going on. Because if the cycle doesn't repeat as it should, something's very wrong. So I've got this little presentation. We'll jump right in and I'll blow your minds. Let me go. Infinity screen, baby. So here we go. Bang. Welcome. So, cycles. Some people, incorrectly in my opinion, will say that if you do the correct inputs, you will find success. I think that's incorrect because there's an element missing. If you do the correct inputs at the correct time, you get success. So why does success generally require consistent effort over an extended time horizon? That's because to be capable of actually making those correct inputs requires some level of skill. This goes for absolutely anything in your life. If we're talking specifically investing, you need to know how to buy, you need to know how to sell, you need to understand how liquidity works. You got to know all these things. You've got to know enough to know that when you're on an exchange, a centralized exchange, you are trading, not buying, because exchanges will frequently have a buy crypto option, which charges you like a 1.5% fee, or a trading option, which is exactly the same, but the fee is like 0.3%. So you have to know what you're doing in order to be able to put the correct input in. However, to achieve the correct time requires taking action at what I just call the defining moment. But there is a specific time where taking that action will lead to success. So if you buy at the bottom of a bear market and sell at the top of a bull market, you've played it perfectly. Now, no one can buy the bottom and no one can sell the top. But if you get good enough or close enough, you will find success. If you bought at the top of a bull market and sold at the bottom of a bear market, all of a sudden, you just lose. You lose everything. It's a fucking disaster. The difference was not the action you took, buying or selling. The difference was when you took that action, okay? So, an example that I want to go quickly onto is this little guy here. Months ago, John sent me a message, and he goes, "Oi, what do you think about this crypto? It's called Popcat." And I looked at it, and I went, "It looks pretty shit, to be perfectly honest." This was what the chart looked like at the time. We had just come down 85%, and it looks like, it's a degenerate shitcoin. It had like $400,000 of liquidity. I was like, this looks like absolute crap. However, we did have this higher bottom that had sort of come in. So I said to John, well, if the price was to come up and close above this, which was about a 7 times in the current price, well, then you could think about buying it again. Now, a couple of weeks later, he hits me up and goes, "Yo, we're back." And so I saw this and I went, well, it's gone through, so let's buy. So I bought it about here. And within a couple of weeks, well, the very next day, I went to sleep and I woke up and I was 100% up. And a couple of weeks later, this thing's gone up another 10x. Now, to get to this buy-in point, the price had to go up 6 times. Because you waited until the right time, when the price decided it wanted to go up, bang, it's easy. It's easy. All of a sudden, you're a genius. Now, I'm not a genius because of what I did. It was just I did it at the right time. So It was very nice and easy peasy. And now it has continued to go ridiculous. And as it being a shitcoin and me practicing proper risk management, it's not like I've sat there and held this thing all the way up for some ridiculous, crazy trade. But you can just see that if you were buying it here thinking I'm going to make $1 zillion, all of a sudden you're facing an 80% drawdown if you were to sell it. And that's just the nature of this. Now, that's kind of an extreme example, but like before, when we talk about like Bitcoin, for instance, if you're buying in a bear market and selling after a peak, you're doing pretty good. Did someone else jump in?
No, you're good.
Cool. So there's that. So the $1 trillion question is, how do we know the correct time? And that comes back to the cycles. So we have cycles in all sorts of shapes, macro, micro. Some macro ones. We've got climate cycles. For thousands of years, the Earth is covered in fucking ice. What the fuck are we supposed to do about that? Absolutely nothing. That's just the way it is. And then we have years where it's really damn hot. We can't control that, but it happens on a predictable cycle every 10,000 years, every 100,000 years. Time horizons that are well beyond us. Then we start to crawl into a smaller, kind of more recognizable cycle. So we've got years. We've got the Earth goes around the sun. We've got the moon going around. I've written moon go around the sun, but the moon go around the Earth. We've got months, years, we've got day and night. So every night you go to bed, and when you wake up, you don't even think about the fact that the sun will rise in the morning. It just does. And if the sun decided not to rise for some reason, well, then you're sitting there going, what the actual fuck? And you probably have a big problem on your hands, because if the day and night cycle stopped repeating, well, then we've got bigger problems to be worrying about. In micro, you might have the work week. You've got work days, weekends. Mondays are different to Wednesdays, are different to Fridays. They've got their own things. News cycles, people talk about 2-week news cycle. These are sort of things we've constructed. One that is kind of obvious is a female's menstrual cycle. Yet people seem to, you chat to guys all the damn time. They're like, I don't understand what she was just so happy the other week, and now she's like, oh my God, like this. And you're like, bro, this happens every fucking month. Like, why are you confused? It's a cycle, right? Like, you should expect this to happen. And so people, even when people know, like we all know about this, yet people still do not have the capacity to recognize that the cycle is in place and that you are supposed to take different actions at different parts of the cycle in order to find success. So cycles related to money. We've got economic cycles, we've got bull and bear markets, we've got war cycles, we've got a property cycle. I'd say take a screenshot of this page. You want to look up these people that I've got listed in brackets. We've got the big cycle. If you haven't seen Ray Dalio's Changing of the World Order, or how to deal with the changing of the New World Order, definitely watch that video. We've got the commodity cycle. That man's name, I believe, is pronounced Kondrafian. It's the Kondrafian wave, the K wave. And then we've got the Bitcoin cycle, Bob Lucas's 4-year cycles. So these are ones that specifically, if you understand, will help you out financially. So Kondrafian wave is basically, we have these different eras of technological advancement. We've got different eras of rising commodity prices where they'll go up and then they'll come down, and then they'll go up and then they'll come down. And this graph just demonstrates the sort of cyclical nature of that. Here is just some war cycles. This is, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you can just have a look at this, and people have just noticed that there is sort of a general time frame of which conflicts break out, and we have cycles of war and cycles of peace. This is from Ray Dalio's New World Order. So he talks in his video more recently, like the last 1,000 years. We've got the Dutch Empire, and then they sit there and they do this entire cycle. Then the British Empire, they sit there and they do this entire cycle. Now we've got America, they sit there and they're going through the cycle. And Ray's like, oh, well, if we just change what we're doing, we could probably extend America a little bit. But by and large, his conclusion at the end of the video is someone else is going to step in and take over from America. That is just how it works. So we're just going to have to deal with that. This was from a great book, which I've got here, The Secret Life of Real Estate and Banking. That's a picture of my copy, a bit ripped up. This is on the back of it. And so this book talks specifically about the property cycle. And so he's got a roughly 18-year cycle, 17.5 to 19 years cycle of a low to a low. And this shit happens over and over and over and over and over again. He goes in depth in the book. You can go all the way down to the freaking 1700s, and this shit is still playing out time and time again. So if I was to come through here recently, this is property, remembering, in Australia specifically, for just because this is what I look into, this is what I nerd out on. We have a low, 1993, 94. So we have the recession, early 90s. And once the recession bottoms out in the stock market, property kind of goes sideways for a bit longer before it bottoms out. Then we've got 7 years of it going up. And then we have the dot-com bubble burst. And all of a sudden, the property prices come down. And then property prices shoot up. We have a big peak. And then we have global recession. And all of a sudden, it bottoms out in 2011, 2012. Now, we're on the next one, 2012, 2019. So we're looking at a peak next year. And this is something that I have I've been looking at since 2019. I've been sitting there going, cool. If you got a house, it'll probably go till 2025. This is Australia. America is about 2 years back. So you probably should have already peaked. And then I'm expecting 2030 is a great time to buy real estate. Why? Because the fucking cycle. Because that has always been the great time. Every approximately 18 years. So just keep an eye out for that. Bitcoin, 4-year cycle. You can see we've got 3 years and 2 months. And then 3 years and 11 months. 3 years and 11 months. So they have gone a bit longer. But then again, we've got another 3 years and approximately 13 months.
What are the three? Sorry, what are the three? I just want to pay attention. The 3 years, 11 months. What does that signify?
That's just from bottom to bottom. Oh, sorry, no, that'd be from bottom to bottom.
Ah, okay, got it.
So 3 years and 11 months is practically 4 years. This is another thing. Bob Lucas goes, it's a 4-year cycle. Yes, but it's not exactly 4 years. He goes, oh, it's a 60-day cycle. It is never 60 days. Right. And when I say never, it's probably been 60 days like one time out of every single time. It's always like 46, 53, 72. But it's just a general, you just call it the 60-day cycle because it's got a nice ring to it. But it's not 60 days. It is a pattern of a high at about day 15, a low, a higher low, preferably at day 30, a higher high at day 45, and then a higher bottom at day 60, and repeat. That's what a 60-day cycle, a right translator one at least, would be like. So last peak, May 2021, but then we had a second peak, which was higher in November. So you just kind of go, well, let's add approximately 4 years. And now we know we've either got somewhere between February to May, maybe even June next year, or October to November next year. So like I was saying before, if you just work on cycles and as long as everything is ticking along correctly, you don't need to worry so much because you know the direction is going up. Because the bull market has not been invalidated, there is literally nothing for me to do but buy every dip until this time. So at the end of the year, that's when you got to start really paying attention to, are we peaking now and right at the start of the year, or are we going to have another really bullish year in 2025? So weekly cycle. Oh, yeah. So, John, you go.
No. Sorry. Go ahead. Continue.
Oh, this is just really quick. So weekly cycle is about 6 months. So 26 weeks. However, it's usually 24 to 27. So it's once again, it's 26, but it's not 26. It's approximately 6 months of behavior. And so if you look at the Bitcoin chart, you can see approximately every 6 months, there's a major low. And then it goes for a run. And then there's another major low. So if we had a major low recently, then we're waiting for sort of, 6 months later from June for the next low. So what would that be? June, July, August, September, October, November, December, Jan. That's when we're looking for another low. Cool. And that's all you need to know. You just go, cool, I'm just looking for a low around those dates. So you just pay attention and then off you go. So 3 60-day cycles is 1 weekly cycle. That is about 6 months. And then 8 weekly cycles is 1 4-year cycle. So, that's sort of, there's cycles within cycles. We have 365 days in a year, but then we have different seasons. And then within those seasons, we've got months, then we've got days. So you got to have all these cycles within cycles, within cycles, within cycles. And as you get smaller and smaller time frame, everything gets less accurate. So the further out you go, then the higher chance that you'll be correct. So when you look at a 4-year cycle, because it's 4 years, you can sit there and go like, yeah, it's It's going to make a new all-time high, like it's bullish, and you'll probably be very correct doing that. Whereas if you're sitting there trying to be like, oh, I think the price is going to exactly hit this price on this day, like it just becomes really rough, basically. So the further you zoom out, then the more surety you'll have. So that's why I like to make decisions in trading on the weekly chart. And it's not until, yeah, well, that's it. So a week close is what I'm looking for. If a week makes a low on the week, well, then I already know the week's down. But you really got to wait for a close before you can make bigger decisions. So the takeaway is, if you do the right thing at the right time, success is guaranteed. Thank you.
I got a question for you regarding to cycles, timing, and everything. What is the right time that you think Hex is going to break its all-time high? Because I'm still holding on.
Sure.
When
I got
is
calls. I got
when are we all
calls.
going to the moon with Richard Hart?
Okay. That shit that's
God,
when
can you-
99% down and then went 99% down yet again. Like it is just an absolute joke of a cryptocurrency.
Can you, John? Can you open the first link I sent in the chat, please?
The Medium one, medium.com?
Yep.
Absolutely. 1 second. We're going to get that. Guys,
It's a
don't
great
forget. Smash,
presentation, and I would like to just kind of piggyback on top of Alex's
Absolutely. Give me
presentation.
2 seconds. Guys, don't forget, smash the like button, share this video, because we're trying to just provide you with pure mathematical alpha to get you some money in your pockets.
Right there. There it is. So we're talking about cycles now, right? So when you're looking at this cycle here, just take a look at that. It pretty much breaks down exactly what's happening in current cycle, right? We have the stealth phase, which was the bottom of the market here, like in 2022, where nobody talked about crypto, that people were still hurt, licking their wounds from the crash, and only degens were talking about crypto. And while that was happening, a lot of the coins were building application and onboarding developers, right? But now I think we're in the awareness phase, right? Obviously, the institutional investors, i.e. ETFs, are coming in, and people are starting to talk about crypto. Makes sense, right?
Mhm.
And what we're coming up here after all the awareness gets done and we hit the critical mass would be the mania cycle or mania phase. As you can see, that's the run up to the top. Probably we're thinking end of 2025-ish, late 2025, then we're going to have the correction. So it makes total sense. Like Alex said, the timing is huge in the market, right? And like this chart shows, we're kind of in that middle between the stealth phase and the mania phase. Does it make sense?
So where do you think we're at the first sell-off? Or I think the first sell-off was probably like what, April, May-ish, June?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're like getting towards the start of a mania phase.
Yeah.
Because we talked about, the guys were talking about the Federal Reserve cutting the rates and, the election coming up and all this stuff. And the other thing we're seeing is that it seems to like that the crypto community wore down Gary Gensler. I mean, he's not even denying or, disapproving Ethereum ETF. Ethereum ETF got approved first try, right? And I think that's that they were losing in courts. And I think Gary pretty much gave up. He knows for a fact that whichever administration that's going to come in from 2024, that he's going to get fired. So he's looking for a new job. Can you check click on the next link?
Absolutely. 2 seconds, and I'll pull it up. The second link here, guys, I'll be dropping in the chat for you as well. This is from capitalwars.com.
Yep.
So it's a Substack, and we're going to go ahead and pop that off right there.
So one of the guys I read and follow is a guy named by Michael Howell, and he is one of the top expert in the global liquidity market, right? If you can go down all the way to the bottom, I think there's a graph there or chart.
This one?
So one of the things that's driving this 4-year cycle is that what he's analyzing is that there's about 65-month cycle of global liquidity, because all these governments have all this debt they're trying to refinance every 5 to 6 years. So they do this, they flood the market with liquidity, then they take away the liquidity. Then it's about 5 to 6 years or 65 months, right? And obviously there's a lag for each of the different financial market that depend on this liquidity, right? So that's why there's this tend to see the 4-year market for last a couple of decades in the stock market, property market, as well as the crypto market. I mean, you can pretty much time investment based on the liquidity cycle, just like Alex said. I mean, it's all cycles.
Yeah, I mean, so can you for the dumb people like me, can you explain to me what am I looking? So the red is
the red is what he's proposing. The black is actual, right? So when the red is at the top, means the market is flooded with money. When red is at the bottom, there's no money. The government's turned up the spigot, right? So what he's proposing, when is the next red top? 2026, right?
Right.
And
Right
what was the last bottom? Was 2022.
Yeah. And the
Yeah,
2018.
so I mean, it kind of coincides with the Bitcoin bottom or the crypto bottom, right?
Yeah.
Just like Alex said, I mean, it's a cycle and the timing. It's crazy how everything kind of correlate with each other. Again, correlation is not causation, right? But I mean, this chart tells the whole story that, hey, we're on an upswing, as you can see from this chart here, in 2025, and we're going to see towards 2026 the market top, another 4-year cycle.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Great stuff.
I'd put a peak in markets at 2027, 28. I'd say that's when we'd have a big stock market peak. So that would give enough time for Bitcoin or crypto to have one more cycle, but probably would end up being something like a left translated cycle in that case.
Elias, go ahead, bud.
Yeah, so basically there was the question from divorce lawyer.
Sorry. Here, divorce lawyer, $5 super chat. Thank you for reminding. Bitcoin cycle, 4-year period. Difference in top and bottom seems to decrease as time moves forward. That means the ratio top / bottom per cycle is decreasing. The answer is yes. Elias, you want to go ahead and build on that?
It's basically so. Yes, we have diminishing returns as the market cap of Bitcoin is increasing. And there's a few data points. So, for example, we can go from the halving to the next all-time high. So basically, if we go from the 2012 halving to the next all-time high, we had a change of about 9,000% or 90x. If we go from the 2016 one to the next all-time high, it was about 2,800%. And from the 2020 halving to the next all-time high, it was only about 600%. And in Bitcoin, there's also one pretty well-known theory. It's called the 5.3 Bitcoin theory. You can search for it on YouTube. There's a lot of videos about it, and it's basically that returns in each Bitcoin cycle decrease by a consistent factor of about 5.3 from each cycle's bottom to its top. And for this cycle, it would actually predict a top of about 77K, or depending on which candles you use and where you set it directly on which chart, it would be something between 73K and 81K as the top for this cycle. But of course, this theory doesn't take into account that the ETFs are online, that we have consistent buying volume and all the other stuff. But I think it's still something to watch out for. So around 77 to 80K is also where I set my pessimistic top personally, just to have a watch on the Bitcoin price, and depending, maybe if you're trading, you could set stop loss or something just to make sure.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So let's enter the final part of the. Anybody else have anything they want to share real quick before we go to the price prediction? Good to go. All right, let's go around. James, Ethereum ETF is live. Current price as of right now is $3,200. We're going to do price prediction by end of the year.
End of the year, I think it will double somewhere between $7,000 to $10,000. Then for end of 2025 market peak, somewhere between 12 to 15.
12 to
at
15.
least quadruple.
Okay, because the current market cap is $387 billion. So by the end of the year, you think it's going to double? So we're going to go to like what, 700 billion, give or take?
Yep.
Cool. Okay, Elias?
Maybe 5K, but I wouldn't bet on it. I think Solana will steal the show.
Yeah,
I agree with Elias. I think Solana will overtake Ethereum, but you can never underestimate boomer money.
there's a lot of boomer money out there. Adam, what?
Like I showed, I'm going with 5K.
End of year.
End of the year, probably between 5 and 6K.
5 and 6K. Okay, cool. Alex,
I can show you. Here we go.
do it.
So, bang. Welcome to the weekly chat. So, all of these lines, don't have to panic about them. These are called Gann fans. And basically, they just look at the relationship between price and time. So, after a certain amount of time has passed, the price will want to do certain things. So, just based on this, I've got this thing running from, and historically in the other markets, bull markets, bear markets, it's actually been extraordinarily accurate. So this is my like basic bit strategy of you just slap one on here at the bottom. You've got to align it right on the right angle, but then the price will want to stay within a range of this. So we've gone up here, we've come down here. So I would say I'm expecting higher at the end of the year. So I would expect about, if this is 11th of November, $5,362 or 6,862. I believe it'll probably stall here, but that's what I'd be looking at. I'm expecting the price to get somewhere in this region. It might not get it. It might get it perfectly. It might be slightly higher, but it will definitely be in this range should the cycles just be continuing as normal. Like that is a very reasonable expectation in my mind. So somewhere above 5,000 to about sort of 5,400.
5K. I like it. All right, Steve, you want to throw your opinion in there?
I have the least experience with something like crypto price predictions, but just based on from what I've seen before and the type of growth it's done in past bull runs, I think somewhere in the 5,500 mark would be around where I'd expect to go.
Good.
Maybe
nice.
6K.
Oops.
With the lift from the ETFs.
6K. I will go ahead.
5 to 6K.
5, 6K. I think that's a good prediction. I think personally, by the end of the year, I'm thinking probably around $5,000 to $6,000. And remember, all my guys here made very reasonable predictions. Because if you look here at the website we gave you guys last week, comparemarketcap.com, you could just click on the ROI calculator and it'll bring you to this right here. So currently we are at $3,216 with a market cap of 387 billion. So let's just say today you say, hey, I believe these fucking psychopaths on the screen. I'm going to throw $1,000 into it. If you get to our price prediction, your $1,000 will be right where I would say a little bit above $1,500. So you make a little bit of profit by the end of the year. I think, yeah, because previously the all-time high, let me just pull it. What was the all-time high market cap-wise? I'll pull up 1 second, boys, 2 seconds. I'll give you that data. So here, I'll show you how to do it live. If you want to check the market cap history, you just go to coinmarketcap.com, you click on market cap, and then you just click all and find the highest point. So the peak of Ethereum was $560 billion. $560 billion. Oh, it's maybe, 558. Let's just say 560. Mm-hmm. So 560. So let's go back to the chart here. And this is the comparemarketcap.com. Comparemarketcap.com. We told you guys you got to bookmark this. This is how you fact check all these crypto con artists is what I was about to say. Crypto fucking influencers who are out here, you know, being retarded and just giving you wild price predictions. So the next step for it to do 1.29x would be 500 billion, and then right above that, $50 billion extra, which is not that much, would give you like the price prediction that we here at the Tokyo Crypto Show Season 2 think about. So yeah, somewhere around here. And then I personally believe that if Donald Trump gets into office, the market's going to roar. I think that the world is waiting for this man to get in office because shit has been crazy. And if you take a look at what happened to crypto after his the attempt on his life, the markets were roaring. We're roaring like out of control. So all the guys here made very reasonable price predictions. And then James saying, you know, $1 trillion by the end of next year with BlackRock and you know, retail getting involved. That is really not out of the question in regards to that. And just a little side note. So that's Ethereum, right? But this is why a lot of us are bullish on Solana, because Solana, if you go to compare market cap again, I'm going to go to compare market cap. I'm just going to show you the difference in market cap, because the lower the market cap, the less money it takes to rise the price of the asset you're talking about. So Solana is probably the most useful cryptocurrency on the planet. And it currently has a very small market cap of $80 billion. Okay. So it can 5x, let's just say 5x. We'll just go down here to 6.3. So let's say it gets up to 500 billion. Then you're looking at $1,000 per Solana. So if you do your investment here, let's put a nice little $1,000 here. Let's say you buy today. By the time it does hit its peak, your $1,000 becomes $6,337, which is a nice little $5,000 profit for you, touching your keyboard or your Phantom wallet or whatever the case may be. So again, with Tokyo Crypto Show moving forward, Season 2, we are very math-based. We are very cycle-based. There's no hopium. There's no bulletproof portfolio. None of that nonsense here. We're just going to clearly present to you with math, charts, timing, everything mathematical to give you guys the most competitive edge that you can have in the cryptocurrency market. With the team of experts here, these guys are all smarter than me in multiple avenues of life and cryptocurrency. So I'm just happy to bring these guys to you guys. And yeah, that's what we think in regards to Ethereum. So keep an eye on Ethereum. Watch the inflows. Watch what's going on. And in closing, does anybody else has anything they want to say?
Bye.
All right, guys. Well, we'll catch you next week. Thank you so much for joining us here in the Tokyo Crypto Show Season 2. Smash that like button. We're coming back to add all the value in the world to you. So you can just, like I said, pure math. You can fact check us. If we're wrong, we want to hear it. Leave a comment below. Share this video with your friends. And until then, we'll see you next week. Peace out.